Hello everyone, and welcome to the Astro Consciousness channel. I'm Millie, and I am here to give you your forecast for the week of September 22nd through the 28th. In this channel, we talk about the astrological energy of the week ahead and how you can integrate it into your personal and spiritual growth. Okay, so here we begin the last full week of the month of September, and it is absolutely saturated with the energy of the solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo that took place on Sunday, September 21st. So, this solar eclipse is a new moon eclipse, and like every new moon, it opens up a 6 month energetic window that allows for the manifestation of that solar eclipse to unfold fully. So, what does that mean for us? That takes us from this eclipse season of September, October 2025 into the first eclipse season of 2026, which is February, March. So I ask you a few things. For some of you, what are some things that perhaps you already have on calendar? Perhaps you have already manifested for February, March of 2026. If there are things that have landed for you already or will within the next couple of weeks, I would say even through October, pay attention to that because that has a lot to do with the new you that you're stepping into, right? If something hasn't manifested for you yet, there's nothing on calendar, there's no event that you know you're going to attend, that's okay. What's going to happen over the next couple of months for a lot of you is that you are going to really follow through with whom you have become between the first eclipse season of 2025, which is March and April, and the second eclipse season of 2025, which is September, October. And now you're going to take action. And that action might look like moving to a new home, moving to a new state, moving to a new country, changing careers, or finally having the spaciousness in your life because of certain things that may have ended, especially relationships, where you say, you know what? My days, my day to day, my routines, the way that I take care of myself, my body, my health, my mental health are all now really going to revolve around me. And really making a commitment to stick to that in a way that is no longer from a place of obligation. It's no longer even from a place of fear, but it's from a place of, I deserve this. I deserve to take care of myself in this way. I deserve to love myself in this way. So, the next couple of months will be the unfolding of who we have become. One more thing I'll say about the Virgo season that we're leaving behind is that it made itself clear. I really invite you to think back to the first new moon in Virgo of August 22nd and the second new moon, which was a solar eclipse, right, of September 21st, and how much changed for you in between that time. What was made clear without a shadow of a doubt of what can continue, of what role you're no longer willing to play, especially if it was a role that depleted you physically, spiritually, mentally. What did Virgo season make so clear that even if you don't know exactly what the path ahead looks like, you definitely know what you no longer want? And it's important to honor that because this eclipse season was not messing around. And when eclipse seasons don't mess around, which they never do, but the way that this eclipse season has been felt is you need to get very honest about what no longer works. And that's the universe saying, I keep showing you. I've been showing you. I've been showing you, right? And so it is time for us to say, okay, this is the most responsible, grounded thing for me to do in my life. How do I move forward? Okay, so we begin the week with Monday, September 22nd, and we begin Libra season, and this is the fall equinox. This is the Libra equinox. This is the beginning of a new season. I personally love this because the fact that we have the Libra equinox happening right after a super potent solar eclipse like the solar eclipse in Virgo means that it's go time. And I think that what you'll notice from this week and in through the month of October, I think that people are going to be very motivated, very action oriented. It's kind of like we all want to shake off all of the stuff that we've been through in Virgo season. It's like, okay, I got it. I'm clear. I got the memo. Time to go. And so I'm very mindful of the spiritual rituals and practices during eclipse seasons around eclipse events just because I'm very respectful of the energy that I know is above me, beyond me, in any way, shape, or form. But here's what I will share with you. If you want to welcome this new season, this equinox, one of the better ways to do that, instead of, if for those of you who might practice like candle magic or work with herbs, um, I would say clean your spaces. Rid your spaces of, and some of you may have done that over the weekend with the solar eclipse in Virgo, but this is such a great week to clean your spaces, to get rid of clutter, to get rid of energy, things that remind you of what is being left behind so that you don't bring that you don't bring that with you into this new season. When we clear our spaces, because our spaces are such a direct reflection of how we're feeling inside, we're telling the universe, I hear you, I see you. Our homes have an energy and a life of their own. They are alive as we are alive. And so we are reflecting that back to one another always. That's why our home is our safe space. That's why home is the fourth house of the zodiac. It's the foundation, the very bottom part of the chart that sustains us, that sustains the rest of the chart. Okay. So, what I really love about this equinox, and for those of you who purchased the eclipse guide, I went into the chart of the equinox and I explained each one of the aspects. So, what I'm going to do here is I'd really want to touch on the fact that at the time of the equinox, obviously the sun is at 0 degrees Libra. We also have Mercury and the moon very close to one another, also in the sign of Libra. So here we have the two luminaries in the same sign with Mercury. What that means is that mind, body, spirit are meeting. Mind, body, spirit are meeting in the sign of harmony, in the sign of equilibrium. So there is this desire to find a sense of balance again. It's probably going to feel like coming out of this tornado-like vortex that we've been in for the last couple of weeks and finally being shot out of it and saying, oh, okay, let me find some balance again. Let me figure out where I am at this moment in time. But what I really love about all three of these placements being in the sign of Libra is that I think we're going to just be clear about what deserves our energy, time, effort, and what doesn't. I don't think it's going to be so much anymore about weighing the pros and cons. I think the pros and cons are very clear. It's just about us now allocating our energy. It's about us allocating our attention, our effort, what deserves it, what doesn't. Again, Virgo is a sign that doesn't mess around when it comes to just very clear honesty. Honor that. Okay. Okay. So on Tuesday, September 23rd, the sun in Libra is doing several things as soon as it moves into the sign of Libra. Like we move into Libra energy, and it's like I said, we're being shot out of this tornado-like vortex. Okay. The Sun in Libra is going to create an opposition to Neptune in Aries. It's going to create a trine to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And it's going to create another trine to Uranus retrograde in Gemini. What does that mean? So the sun represents us, our identity, our vitality, our ego, this facade, this meat suit, if you will, that we carry into the 3D world. That is what the sun represents. And in the sign of Libra, this meat suit that we carry, right, this ego is trying to find a balance, equilibrium, okay? I have my marching orders, my divine marching orders, if you will. But here's the thing. The opposition to Neptune in Aries is interesting because any opposition to Neptune is kind of like having like walking with fog in front of you or driving. Have you ever driven in heavy fog where all you can see are your headlights and maybe a couple of feet in front of your car, if that? That is what it feels like to have Neptune right in front of the sun. So it clouds it a little bit. So to me, that doesn't mean that we're not clear. I think it just means that the path ahead and the way that it looks and the way that it's going to unfold and the outcome is not clear. So when we take that timeline of this eclipse season, September, October, into the first eclipse season of 2026, February, March, and we understand one of the major events that's taking place in October, we can understand that things take time, that everything will in fact unfold exactly as it's meant to. All you need to know right now is what is the next logical step, one step at a time, right? Because here's the thing. With the South Node transiting the sign of Virgo, this last Virgo season, what it taught us is we have very little control. And so I know that there are several of you out there that actually manifested really wonderful things. What happens when you get out of the way? What happens when you get out of your own way and you say, you know what, I surrender? Not because I'm giving up, but because I understand that there is a greater power always working in my favor. And that my mind, my very logical mind, only knows so much, only works under the parameters of what it has learned in this life, in this 3D reality. Does profound wisdom come from what we've learned? Absolutely, but also some limitations. And what September has taught us is exactly that, that we have to be able to discern when to take action and when to get out of our own way. Okay. So this is where the sun in Libra creating pretty much a grand air trine between Uranus retrograde in Gemini and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is what are the possibilities, right? And because we in our lifetime have never experienced a Uranus in Gemini, we in our lifetime have never experienced a Pluto in Aquarius. We have no frame of reference of what can really unfold, what can manifest, the connections that we can make, the communities that we can land in, the types of friendships that can come our way, how relationships might actually change. So this grand air trine is a grand air trine of possibility, of thinking outside the box. So what are some of the practical things that you can do? You know, continue reaching out to people, continue making connections, continue working in community, brainstorming, really put yourself in the position of what is what is the best case scenario from this? What can possibly be the best case scenario? Source, universe, show me how good it can be. Show me how good it can get. Let me get out of my own way. What am I not seeing through the lens of love, but instead focusing on through the lens of fear? Because when we go from a week like the week leading up to the solar eclipse in Virgo to a week like this, where the elements change from earth, what's tried and true, to air, the possibility, it can feel like a little bit of a shock to the system. And all of a sudden, we're saying, whoa, okay, things really changed. I do have to think differently. I do have to take different action, and that can feel overwhelming. Because here's what's really being asked of us at a fundamental level is, can you continue moving in faith? Can you continue moving from this space of understanding how unconditionally supported and loved you actually are? What happens when you allow that unconditional love that exists for you, that exists within you, that you come from, take the lead? A lot of inner child stuff has come up because it needs to be cleared. But the more you lean into fear, the more that you're burdening your inner child to make decisions that it was never responsible for making. So this is where we get to flip the script. And so think about it. Thinking outside the box from that perspective is doing different by our inner child in the way that our parents couldn't. See how that lands for you, because that's something that is so important as we move into this new world. Our inner children don't want to be parentified anymore. They no longer want their light to be dimmed by circumstances, belief systems that were never theirs to begin with. And a big part of healing right now with that Jupiter in Cancer is that inner child. Okay. All right. So Wednesday, September 24th, we have Mars, the planet of action, move into the sign of Scorpio and remain there for several weeks. So here we have Mars leaving the sign of Libra. It has weighed the pros and the cons. It has been trying to find its way, right, through that eclipse season. And now it's entering one of its home signs. Mars in Scorpio is determined. It moves in silence. It's very stealth. It is tenacious. So I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at this at all. I think that we need this passion for ourselves, this passion for what we believe is us walking in purpose in our lives. When the energy of Mars and Scorpio is focused, it becomes obsessive. And in its highest expression, it's us saying, what doesn't serve my life right now? What doesn't serve my purpose right now, right? So if we make this a little bit more mundane, right? Remember what I talked about earlier. One of the examples I gave earlier was what happens when I commit myself to, to my health, to my well-being, to my mental health, and I start making certain decisions around what I eat, how much I exercise, my sleep. This Mars in Scorpio is going to make you so dedicated to that because you understand this matters. This is important. Let's not forget that Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth. Scorpio is the sign that teaches us that the reason that this life that we live is precious is because one day we're going to die. That is what Scorpio teaches us. So when we focus because we understand what actually matters, that's a different way of being. That's a different way of living. And it reminds us that we don't have to waste our time on anything that doesn't serve our highest good. And the highest good for some people can be their health, can be their mindset, can be their work, can be their relationship with their children, their relationship with themselves, whatever that is for you. Understand that the opportunity that this Mars in Scorpio gives you is to focus and stop wasting time on things that are not meant for you. Okay. Now, one of the first things that this Mars in Scorpio is going to do, and we're going to feel it, I think we're going to feel this intensity all week. Technically, Mars in Scorpio will square Pluto in Aquarius on Thursday, September 25th. Okay. When Mars and Pluto are at tension with one another, there's a lot of passion in the air. There is a lot of intensity in the air, perhaps some aggression. Okay. Again, Mars in Scorpio, I'm determined. I am focused. I know what I want. I'm going for it. This square between Mars and Pluto, if you are focused and you understand the direction you're headed in, it just gives you more of that. It gives you more of a sense of purpose. It gives you more of a sense of, I don't have to see the big picture. I know where I'm standing now, and I'm working with what I've got now. Okay? If you're still not clear, if you're still entertaining things that you know you don't need to be entertaining, that the eclipses of September made clear you don't need to be entertaining any longer. This tension between Mars and Pluto is going to bring chaos. It's going to bring potentially drama. And you have to decide for yourself, do I really want to continue experiencing this time and time and time again? Remember, what we are not moving away from, we are choosing. And in a lower expression, Scorpio energy, Pluto energy is the energy of chaos. And when we're talking about radical self-responsibility, it's about really questioning, how am I choosing this chaos? How am I continuing to choose it? And that may be a question that lands heavily for some people, but there is immense, immense power that comes with saying, how am I choosing this? And if I don't know or have a way out right now, perhaps answering how I'm choosing this can give me an extra push to actually come out of this right now. We are not playing around. The universe is not playing around. The universe is not holding our hand. And here's another thing. Between Wednesday and Thursday, the moon is going to be transiting the sign of Scorpio. So, not only are we going to be experiencing the higher octave of Mars, which is Pluto, which is feeling the potential of feeling overwhelmed, overpowered, but the moon in Scorpio can amplify that feeling of intensity. Look, this energy is not so that you seek perfection, is not so that you seek to control. Absolutely not. Although, because of the energies involved, some people might try to control. And here's another thing. If you are attempting to control the outcome with another person, that's going to backfire. That's not where we are. This Libra season is going to highlight where there are still some control dynamics in relationships. hmm So this week, focus on yourself. Focus on what matters. Focus on what has been made clear to you. When we are in relationship with ourself, with our body, with our mind, with our thoughts, with how our nervous system is feeling on the day to day, that is us actually taking instruction from this divine mechanism that carries our soul. And it's what allows us to walk through this life from a much more intentional place. And intention doesn't necessarily mean we have the answers for everything, but intention means that we are grounded in the knowing of who we are. That is what we have the opportunity to experience this week. Okay. Now, on the weekend of the 26th through the 28th, the moon is going to be transiting the sign of Sagittarius. I think that it's going to be a very welcomed, lighter energy, fire energy. We might feel more energized. Whenever the moon transits the sign of Sagittarius, it calls for movement, but it also calls for a little bit, of laughter, of joking. So being around people that you want to be around. That moon in Sagittarius is going to create an aspect of tension to Venus and Virgo. It's going to create an aspect of tension to this Venus and Virgo that wants to be very organized right now, that wants to get things done right now. And the moon in Sagittarius is saying, but I'm kind of tired. It's been a week. It's been a season. Okay. I'm trying to party a little bit, whatever party means for you. Plan your weekend, make room for, I would say, some fun, some lightheartedness, be around people you like being around. And if the square of Venus and Virgo for you comes with some responsibility that is inevitable, that you have to tend to, make room for that as well. Remember, this isn't about perfection, which Venus and Virgo can say, but no, we have 1,000 things on the list and we have to accomplish them all this weekend. Be mindful because your body needs a little bit of both. Everything will get done. Take a breath, one day at a time. But you're coming out of a period of time that is pretty gnarly. And your mind, body, and spirit are still trying to find their way. They're still trying to align to one another. Okay? So, with that said, as always, may this be of service. So much love to you all. I will talk to you next week. Take care.